Hey there, kids. Well, it's me, your old pal, and we're here for more fun and laughs from the latest installment of movies that gave me an irritating rash. And I don't know if you're careful. If you're not careful, you're gonna have laughter and fun. And if you're not careful, you might learn something before it's done. No, probably not. But I wanted to bang one out just to keep the old ball rolling. And I'm going to cover something a little special tonight because this is one I saw for the first time in decades upon decades. Yeah, I've said that before. This in particular is a little movie from 1958 called The Flame Barrier. And probably most, if not all of you, have never heard of it. But hands up for anyone who may have actually seen this. Let me count you all up there. One, two. Oh no, you you're not raising your hand. You just probably got the same irritating rash that I do right now. Okay, never mind. Um, so this was made in 1958 um, by it was directed by Paul Landris and the screenplay by Pat Fielder and George Worthing Yates. And this flick, just to give you a little pre-ramble, this is another one of those ones I caught late at night on Creature Feature, probably when I was 8 or 9 years old. It's just kind of primo catching all these movies time for me, which, yeah, lots of kind of 1950s flying saucer UFO geek shows. My recollection of it is a bunch of people, the protagonists of the movie, are all trapped behind this big wall of jello in the jungle and can't get past it because anytime you so much as go within a foot of it, it incinerates you. And but that was my grasp on the movie. And the whole movie is these people just inexplicably being trapped behind this big wall of jello. Well, actually, not the case. Yeah, the big group of people is actually just three people. It's a fairly small cast. Uh, Three people and ever so briefly a chimp. But the uh, the movie concerns Kathleen Crowley playing Carol Dahlman, who hires Dave Hollister and Matt Hollister down in Mexico, played by Arthur Franz and Robert Brown, and they are a two brother kind of exploration crew that will go out and do expeditions for you, find whoever you need to find or whatever. And she says that she has this husband who's, she's loaded with money, and she has this husband who went off to look on a search for this satellite he partially designed or whatever, and that was shot into space with the space monkey on board, a chimpanzee on board, and so they're going out there to find it and see what they can get as far as maybe saving the husband and whatnot. And she is and this is a very bad trip. This is with with the Hollister brothers, they're experts in this. They've covered the terrain. They know the terrain. They know the ups and downs of the terrain. But this thing has landed somewhere in the Yucatan Peninsula, and so they've got to go look for that as the rainy season is coming in. Now, my geography is not necessarily spot on, but check me on this. The Yucatan Peninsula is basically like no man's land, especially during the rainy season, right? I believe that's the case. And, well, they don't miss that, but I personally kind of find it hard to believe that they've got a couple of guys that can negotiate that in other times. But I will willingly suspend my disbelief, yada, yada, yada. And anyway, so Matt, played by Robert Brown, is kind of the kind of less rugged, handsome brother of the two, and he's kind of a drunk, and of course he's getting real sweet on Mrs. Dahlman as they go on this trip. But of course, she is in the middle of falling for Dave, who's kind of your typical square jawed hero type, and he's the best way I could describe this character as a protagonist is he's kind of like Driscoll in the original King Kong. You know, he's basically just square jawed, just bitter, wants nothing to do with those dames, and so I mean, you can see the forest for the trees there. Anyway, eventually they go into the jungle, and they encounter deadly snakes and stuff like that, and you see people burnt, just coming out of a certain region burnt up. They come up just boils and damage on their chest, and then they go up in flames and all kinds of stuff like that. And they say it's, of course, the natives are typically pictured as, being, ooh, big bad fire god out in jungle, and they're kind of handled about as gracefully and subtly as you imagine they would be from a 1958 movie. And but they got these Sherpas who they always refer to as the boys. Well, yeah, these boys all look like they're probably in about their 40s, and they lead them around until finally it gets too scary, and eventually they kind of fly the coop. And so our three intrepid travelers are left on their own. Well, they come to the camp of Mr. Dahlman's party, and they find the space monkey alive and well. The chimp is just kind of sitting there on a cot, just kind of twiddling its thumbs and kind of waiting for someone to come back. And so they're a little bothered by that. And so they take the chimp out, and eventually they look and they go into this cave that everyone's so afraid of. And they come out on the other side of the cave, and sure enough, they find the satellite. And the satellite is encased in this big pile of jello. And Mr. Dahlman is also encased in this big pile of jello, and he's just he's kind of like looking kind of like a Captain Pike in Star Trek, and yeah, so I think Carol and Dave are free to bone away as long as they like, I guess, and then this thing, as far as I can tell, this big pile of jello is growing. And they could just kind of take the girl and the chimp and run like hell, but sooner or later in their travels, it's going to overtake them and surround the entire jungle in its nimbus of destruction. Meanwhile, the chimp, just to show that there are stakes in this, goes strolling up to the big giant Jello mold and instantly gets incinerated. And so it's like, whoa, okay, this thing can kill you. Yeah, this thing just killed the best actor in the movie. Nah, the acting is actually not bad. Anyway, so the whole thing is just okay. So what do we get at? What are we gonna do? We've got to destroy this big wad of Jello somehow. And so the rest of the movie is these three in their weird little love triangle, trying to figure out a way to destroy this pile of Jello before it takes over the world. And do they do it? Do they succeed? Well, you can find this. You can find this sucker on YouTube, and you can check it out for yourself. Personally, for me, what I'm going to tell you is that thing that I remember being the entire movie when I was 8 or 9 years old. It's about the last 15 minutes. Um, so if you're waiting for this big sci-fi horror movie, well, the intense plot right there happens in about the last 15 minutes. And the rest of it is pretty much them wandering around in the jungle having character development and you know trying to get away from deadly snakes and they're trying to shoot deadly snakes or whatever. And yeah, so it's basically probably not a bad jungle adventure. The characters are good. The plot is for what they are. They're kind of stock characters, but they're kind of well performed stock characters. The plot's so. I would say you're gonna get all the for 1958. Go figure. You're gonna get all the racism and inherent sexism we pay for, but that's that's character development in 1958, and nah, it's all right. It's if you got like an hour and 10 minutes to kill. I mean, it'll probably get you through that. Anyway, yeah, the flame barrier. Maybe look it up. I don't know. Take it easy. Um, Signing out for now.